Hi, my name's Keith, and welcome to Hoptown Live. I'm here with Joe Brusic, the Yakima County prosecuting attorney. Hi, Joe.
This is a great opportunity, and as I've interacted with the media during the course of being elected in 2014 for Yakima County prosecutor, I've made it a real mission of mine on behalf of our office to make sure that I can answer all the questions that you or anyone else have. I love your premise starting off that, you know, people don't know anything, so what can I tell them about me and our office and the county? And I'm here for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I really know that. People don't know anything. You know, you go, I mean, you're an elected, right?
Yes.
You go knocking on people's door. Who are you? What are you running for? What's that?
That's right. That's right. No, I totally agree. I grew up here in Yakima. Went to Yakima schools, and then went over to Seattle for school, college at the University of Washington, and then went to the University of Puget Sound School of Law, which is now Seattle University, and graduated, started practicing as a deputy prosecuting attorney in Kitsap County in 1989. And so I've been practicing for about 32 years or so as an attorney. The first 13 years or so, I was a criminal prosecutor, deputy prosecutor in both Kitsap County, and then I moved back here in 1991 and started working in the Yakima County Prosecutor's Office at that time. And I was here under Jeff Sullivan for about 12 or 13 years. And then went into private practice. I worked with Scott Brumbach down at Hurst Brumbach in Brusic, and we did personal injury, Social Security, and labor, and L&I law. And it was a great practice. You know, Scott is a wonderful law partner, and we got along great. But I always wanted to be, and I always believed myself as a prosecutor, and I wanted to get back to prosecution.
Was there maybe a specific case or something that happened in your private career that you looked at and you said, I need to fix that? There's something that happened that shouldn't have happened. Was there something that kind of tugged on your heartstrings?
Well, you know, I don't know whether I would say that. I would say that one of the precipitating events that caused a lot of issues within the county was the Goggin triple homicide out in West Valley.
What year was that?
That was, I don't remember right offhand, probably around 2012 maybe, right around in that area.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't make me want to come in and run for this position. That just put the Yakima County Sheriff's Office, the Yakima County Prosecutor's Office, it kind of all bubbled up to the top on a very serious, tragic case. And I just, that and a number of other things really got the urging to want to be a prosecutor again. Mm-hmm. And I thought, in terms of my career, why not look at it as a chance to maybe be a leader? I had been both on the criminal side as well as on the civil side, so I knew both civil and criminal law. And so I thought maybe that would, I was well-rounded enough to maybe ask people to support me to be in this position. And, I missed the office, and I had good friends that still work there to this day that I wanted to be friends with again on a daily basis and see. And it was just, it was important for me to get back to prosecution, and I thought that maybe I could give back to the community by running for this position. But as I indicated to you previously, I had no agenda. I'm not looking to move into a higher political position, whatever that may be. I want to just serve the community because this is where I grew up. This is where I've raised my family. I'm married. I've been married for about 32 years, and with 4 children.
And I gotta say, I believe you because I know it's possible to just want to serve and not have an agenda.
Yeah,
I really do believe that.
I think it's an important function for every politician to, while they're in that particular position, to just serve.
Now, in the Yakima County Prosecutor's Office, how do you work with the city prosecutor or do you have anything on the tribe? We've got a very unique situation with a big major city surrounded by county. Yes. And then this tribal integration. How do you work with that?
Well, that's a great question. First of all, Yakima County, there are 39 elected prosecutors, county prosecutors in the state of Washington. We have 39 counties. And all the 39 of us have the duty and responsibility to prosecute every felony within those respective jurisdictions. So every felony case whether it be an A, B, or C felony committed in Yakima County, goes through our office. And we're the only office that prosecutes felonies in Yakima County.
Okay, so that includes something that might have happened in a smaller jurisdiction.
Now, what you have is you've got municipalities,
Right.
right? You've got the city of Yakima, you have the city of Sela, you have, this.
Wapato, Topanus, Zillah.
Exactly. And all of those municipalities that have a court system have the ability to prosecute misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors within the city limits of their respective jurisdictions.
But no felonies.
But no felonies. Every felony goes to our
Really?
office. Yeah. So if you get a DUI in downtown Yakima, you're going to be prosecuted by the city of Yakima, not our office in district court.
Okay.
Because we have not only all the felonies, but we also have a district court where we take care of those misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors that take place in the unincorporated areas of Yakima County. Now, we've got over 4,000 square miles of landmass in Yakima County.
It's huge.
It's the second largest landmass county in the
Have
state
you
of
ever had
Washington.
to prosecute any crime that happened on top of Mount Adams?
No, not yet. But we go all the way up to the top of White Pass.
Yeah.
And the jurisdiction, the law enforcement jurisdiction for the Yakima County Sheriff's Department is exactly that. They go from Grandview all the way up to White Pass. It's a very difficult position to be in because there's so much land. And we have about 255,000 people in Yakima County. And it's about, for the city of Yakima is about 95,000 people or so.
Right.
And so when you have crimes involving misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors, they take place in the city of Yakima. They're prosecuted by the city of Yakima prosecutors.
So, going back to the big picture, so misdemeanors can be prosecuted locally,
Yes.
but misdemeanors that happen in the county get prosecuted by
Our
the county.
Yakima County District Court.
Yakima County District Court, and then there's felonies. Is there anything above that?
No.
There's the federal jurisdiction too, right?
That's correct. Yeah, the federal jurisdiction is, you have the two major federal jurisdictions in the state of Washington. You have the Western District, which is based out of Seattle, and then you have the Eastern District, which is based out of Spokane. And each of those two districts has
Where's
a
the line?
U.S. attorney. The top of the pass, basically
Okay.
Western and Eastern Washington.
Okay. One
So-
attorney for the whole district.
Well, no,
Or
they have
attorney
a
office.
U.S. attorney that is appointed by the President of the United States. And so our attorney in the Eastern District, Bill Hislop, was a private attorney for many years, as well as a previous U.S. attorney for the Eastern District.
Bill Hislop.
Bill Hislop, and he
Where
works.
does he operates out of Spokane?
He does at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and he was appointed by President Trump to fill that role as U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District for the state of Washington.
But then there's also the Washington Attorney General.
That's correct. The Washington Attorney General is the attorney for the governor and the attorney for the
Right.
state, and represents the interests of the state of Washington. So all the state departments that are controlled essentially by the governor. Bob Ferguson is the Attorney General for the state of Washington, and he was elected in that role and is running again for that role this year.
Right. That's a mess.
Yeah. And they have a very a wide berth. They've got a very large office. They have local offices. We have local assistant attorney generals here in Yakima County, and we have primary criminal jurisdiction. So the only way for Bob Ferguson to prosecute any crime coming out of Yakima is either the governor directly appoints him, or I ask him to help us out, and I make him a special prosecutor to prosecute certain crimes. Other than that, the prosecution of the county prosecutor remains with me.
Okay. So maybe you've been a prosecuting attorney in Yakima County since.
As I was elected in 2014, and I took office formally January 1st of 2015.
Okay, 2015. Is it a 6-year term?
It's a 4-year term.
4-year term. So you just went through the election again.
Yes, in 2018.
Okay. All right. What have been some cases that you thought really brought right justice that maybe people have heard of in the news that?
Well, that's a difficult question because we've had so many cases. Yakima, even when I was growing up here, kind of is well known for criminal activity.
Mm-hmm.
We have, I think instead of like specific cases, I think the three major drivers of crime in Yakima County, from my humble opinion, are drugs, domestic violence, and gangs. And we've all heard about that. We've all seen how drugs interact. It's a major driving force for a lot of criminal activity.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have domestic violence. Domestic violence has consistently been a problem in Yakima County as well. And then we're all very well acquainted with gangs and gang activities. We have a very strong Norteño and Sereno gang population.
Mm-hmm.
And these are very serious problems. And we take them very seriously at the Yakima County Prosecutor's Office. We work actively with all the law enforcement agencies up and down the valley. And we really do strive to make Yakima County as safe as possible. And
what does it look like right now with the prosecuting power that you want or have or don't have with coronavirus? And the jails, are they full, or did they get emptied out a little bit?
They did. This took place around most jurisdictions around the United States because of the virus.
Yeah.
We went from, realistically, the virus really took hold the first part of March, and we significantly saw that mid-March everything really changed. And that's about the time that it really started changing for the Yakima County jail population. The first week of March of 2020, we had about 920 inmates at the Yakima County Jail. Now, 300 or 400 of those were from inmates from other jurisdictions that were paying for those beds that we had contracted with to take and house those individuals. But as we sit right now, we're down to just over 400 inmates in the Yakima County Jail. And it's kind of stabilized at
What's
that area.
What's the bed capacity?
We can have, most jails, you don't want to fill jails past 85% capacity. You can't fill them up.
Okay.
But we can
That's
go.
interesting.
Yeah, because you always need room. You can't fill a jail up because if somebody gets arrested for
some
something,
revolving
capacity. You've got to have capacity to book new individuals in. But the circumstances of about 85% capacity, we can go over 1,000. We can have upwards of 1,100 to 1,200 individuals in the Yakima County Jail, but that's not good. That's not advisable under the circumstances.
Wow, so 400 is really low.
Yeah, 400, those are individuals that really truly do need to stay in custody pending trial. Now, they're presumed innocent.
How does that low census affect your job?
Well, a lot of people believe that it destabilized Yakima County because the individuals were getting out. Well, it's a concern. And, we have what is known as the pretrial program, and there's a number of individuals that believe in our county that the pretrial program is, the classic phrase is catch and release.
Mm-hmm.
The criminal justice system, whether you like it or not, is constantly evolving. And my opinion is that there are individuals that have been released or not released that we disagree with as a prosecutor's office. But it's always going to be that way. We're always going to either agree or disagree because we're advocates for the particular the situation that we are built to maintain, which is the criminal justice system and public safety. And so when there are individuals that either are let go or kept in, it is ultimately the judge's decision to use their discretion based upon the facts and based upon everything that they know through the pretrial program to make that decision. So I can sit here and say I disagree or I agree at any one point on any one individual.
I just thought of a really bad analogy. So bump, set, spike. Police bump, you set, and judge.
Yeah,
judge makes the final decision.
I've never heard of that.
Right.
That's a good analogy.
That's pretty bad in my opinion. What kind of, in the scheme of things, how is the criminal justice system functioning? Here's what I really want to know is there anything like restitution or some more? We put people behind bars, and there's no healing, and there's no reform. I don't want to use reform in the modern riot sense. There's no personal, there's no individual justice. Let's say there's something happens to someone, that person doesn't get anything, just the person goes behind bars. There's no community connection. There's
Sure.
no growth. Is there anything? How's the justice system doing?
Well,
I'm sure there are a lot of nonprofits that work with prisoners and things like that.
Sure.
Right?
There are organizations, and but you've kind of hit the huge issue in terms of the current day criminal justice system, 2020, both locally and nationally.
Mm-hmm.
What you see, there will always be a punishment element of criminal justice, right? And we
Which
as prosecutors,
there has to be,
and I support that. And I was an aggressive prosecutor when I had a caseload, and we as an office have an aggressive tendency towards punishment. That's the way I believe, and that's the way I believe that the people of Yakima County want us to be. They want us to try to make sure that there is a major punishment, template for the individuals that we deal with, and there is.
Yeah.
However, there also becomes an issue as to when we ask ourselves, how do we stop recidivism, which is the reoccurrence of crime. So you commit a crime, you eventually get dealt with, it's over, and then you commit another crime, and then you potentially go through the same process and commit another crime. How do we break that as we go through time to stop allowing individuals to create victims? And really a major push nationally and even locally is trying to look at some of these individuals that may not be the worst offenders, that may not be needing to spend 15 or 20 or 30 years in prison here in the state of Washington, but who have mental health problems, who have substance abuse disorder issues, and various things that go along with, okay, how do we help this individual not commit further crime?
Right.
Because it's one thing to say, put someone in custody and forget about him, lock the door, throw away the key, but it's not that simple. It's not that simple because everybody, except a few, get out. They're going to get out. Even if they commit murder, they're eventually going to get out. There's about 300 people in the state of Washington currently in all the representative jurisdictions that are in custody for the rest of their life. Other than that, everybody
How
in
many
prison,
people?
about 300 in the state. And those are life without the ability of life without parole.
And does Yakima County Jail house any of those?
No,
It's
only
not.
temporarily pending trial if they are. But we have to file aggravated first-degree murder charges against those
Okay,
individuals.
I heard you say that earlier, and I didn't follow up. So the Yakima County Jail is just temporary holding while they're pending trial, and then if they're convicted, they go where?
Well, some of them spend their time. If they get less than, it's under 364 days or less, they could spend their sentence in the Yakima County Jail.
Which
If
I
it's-
assume is the vast majority.
Not so much, because most felonies obviously have potentially more time than
Okay,
that.
okay.
There are some felonies that have standard ranges of anywhere from, say, 3 to 9 months or 6 to 12 months. They can potentially spend their time, their fully allotted time that they get upon sentencing in the Yakima County Jail. But for those individuals that are charged with felonies that get convicted or plead guilty and give up their presumption of innocence, they are going to be shipped to prison. Anything over a year is sent to prison. So those individuals, let's say they get an 18-month sentence,
Is that Walla Walla?
that could be, well, it could be. It depends on where the Department of Corrections, which is a state-run agency, decides to ship them. And there's a number of prisons around the area.
All the time.
Yeah, there are a number of prisons. The prison for women is over in Purdy. There are a number of prisons. We have one in Connell. We have one in Monroe over on the west side.
Okay.
We have Coyote Ridge. We have Airway Heights. We have a number of prisons that, and the individuals, once they get into the Department of Corrections, are evaluated and placed by the Department of Corrections. We have nothing to say about where they go.
Right. Well, of course, as the
Sure.
prosecuting attorney.
Yeah.
So, any justice reform of any sort coming down the pike?
Well, what we're seeing is a much more robust system in terms of mental health and how we're dealing with mental health issues. And we've seen this especially on the national stage. And what we want to do is we want to deal with these people in a way that it, allows for punishment, but also deals with these underlying issues. Alcohol and drugs, once again, as a major driver of crime. If you don't deal with those issues, they're going to come back to the system and they're going to create more victims. We want to try to alleviate that problem. And so, the reforms both nationally and locally are taking place as we speak. And we've got a very robust ITA docket, which is for the Involuntary Treatment Act cases for individuals with mental health problem. We've got a mental health court docket. We have a drug court.
Do you have some community partners that will take prisoners, but sort of, on, I don't know if you call it house arrest, in a program, in a facility?
Yes, we work with a number of those, including comprehensive mental health.
What percentage of people go into something like that?
It's
Do you know?
I don't know right offhand. It would be purely anecdotal. We've got a very robust drug court. We've got an excellent DUI court. We've got individuals that go into these therapeutic courts for a reason, because they've essentially, at least on the face of it, believe that they've hit rock bottom and they want to get out of the system. And in return for doing the things that they need to be doing over the course of a it's a very difficult road for them to get and to graduate from these various therapeutic courts. They've got to go through a lot. They've got to toe the line. They've got to change.
They have to want to.
They've got to want to, and they've got to change the culture of their life. And for those that graduate, it's transformative. They change their life. They are better. They are truly remarkable individuals. There are some that get washed out.
I had a chance of teaching for a season at the Fort Simcoe Job Corps. And it's different. They're not criminals or anything like that, but it is a community of young men and women that are looking for that second chance. And it seemed to me that when they chose in, though the culture was pretty rough, when they chose in, they had already decided that they were going to succeed. Like, it was kind of baked into the culture that though they were all a little, in need of some skills and, instruction, things like that they'd already decided that they were going to get past maybe what their family had come from.
Well, and that's exactly right. I mean, the support groups needed and the evaluations in their own minds that they go through to get into these courts through their attorneys. They're represented by defense counsel. The court accepts them. They go through an evaluation process as to whether they're a viable candidate. There are certain things, we're not putting people that commit serious assaults into these courts. There are real definite guidelines that keep, these individuals away that have committed allegedly certain crimes. They're not eligible.
Do you have any switching gears? Are there any crimes that are on the decrease?
We talk in terms of violent crime overall, and that's kind of a general term. You talk to the law enforcement chiefs. What we're seeing is maybe a downturn in violent crime. However, this year, I think we're up to 25 or 26 homicides in the valley this year. Most of those are through the unincorporated parts of the county, which means the Yakima County Sheriff's Department has had to deal with the majority of the homicides this year in 2020. That's a lot of homicides for the size of our jurisdiction. So it's hard to say that violent crime is going down, and yet when you look at other respective assaults like first or second degree assault, it could be said that some of these are going down. Now, one set of crimes that has definitely gone up this year in relation to the last several years is domestic violence.
I can imagine.
We've seen an uptick in domestic violence, no question. We're easily seeing upwards of 100 additional felony cases involving domestic violence this year than we saw last year at the same time. during, say, mid-March up through the end of August during the COVID time period.
Mm-hmm.
The COVID time period that I'm talking about really is about mid-March up through the current day. And during that particular period of time, we've clearly seen violation of no contact order cases. We've seen second-degree assault, strangulation cases go up. We've seen a lot of domestic violence and intimate relationships affected by assaultative behavior that is clearly up from the last several years.
So give me some good news.
Well, we good news. I would like to say that the Yakima County Prosecutor's Office is a fantastic office,
Mm-hmm.
and that's good news. And people here in Yakima County need to know that this office so clearly is represented by the people who work in the Yakima County
How
Prosecutor's
many
Office.
attorneys work in the office?
We've got approximately 90 people working in the office and about 36 attorneys. And
That's huge.
It is the second largest prosecutor's office in Eastern Washington, and it is, if it was a law firm, and it's not a law firm, but if it was a law firm, it would be the second largest, second only to the Spokane County Prosecutor's Office in Eastern Washington. So there's a lot of moving parts, but the reason when you say bring up some, what's positive news, we've got very dedicated, about 24, 25 criminal prosecutors that work really hard every day for the people of Yakima County.
Yeah.
And they do a great job, and they charge out a lot of crime. And, it's kind of a thankless task because a lot of people here truly do want, the maximum penalty on every case to make sure that people are truly punished. And it's just not that simple because the protections in the law and the sentences that were handed down by the legislature to ask the court to impose or not to impose. So there's a lot of things going on, but the office remains completely dedicated to providing public safety to everybody here in Yakima County.
Right. Well, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
That's a good place to wrap up.
Okay.
Feel free to come back now that we've covered some initial ground. Love to talk about maybe anything that's going on.
All right. Well, Keith, I appreciate
in the
it.
current.
Thank you.
All right.
It's great.
Nice to meet you.
Nice.